Hey y'all, hey, I'm back. I'm here with another video. So, we're going to talk about very quickly, hopefully, I don't know, we'll see how long this video is. I got to go pick up my daughter. But, what is this man's name? Yeah, I know it's Mos Def, but I'm trying to be respectful. The artist formerly known as Mos Def just recently did an interview, and I feel like the girl kind of set him up a little bit with the question, but whatever, we're here now. And the question was, does he think Drake is hip hop? And his response was, well, Drake is pop and he's pushing, going shopping in the mall and all of that type of stuff, type of music. So it started this whole conversation of, is Drake hip hop? This is not a conversation that's new. It just constantly comes up when it comes to Drake. Now, to answer the question very simply and plain, is Drake hip hop? Yes. Like, if we just want to keep it at a very basis level of the question she asked, the answer is yes. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. However, as it has been pointed out by a lot of people, the thing about Drake is that he's not just hip hop. See, this is the thing. I think a lot of people don't really know how to necessarily take Drake because we've never in the history of hip hop had somebody like Drake. The closest thing we've had to Drake is Kanye. But even Kanye, to a degree, doesn't do a lot of the things that Drake does. So, because of the fact that Drake is more than hip hop, he's not just hip hop, he's R&B, he's pop. Hell, he's even Afrobeat sometimes when he fucking feels like it, okay? Because he fits all of these different boxes and he checks all of these different boxes, to me, I feel like people try to take away from him because of the fact that he's just not one singular thing. And we're going to get into Kendrick a little bit later. But I'm kind of tired of having this conversation about the same conversation over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's really annoying at this point. I really would like people to stop disregarding him as a rapper and as being a hip hop artist just because he also fits in a lot of these other boxes. And again, I understand that it's hard for people to grasp because we've never had an entity like Drake in hip hop ever. He is the first of his kind. So because of that, he gets a lot of fucking slack. Honestly, Drake, a lot of times, I compare him to Ja Rule in a way. And he even says all the time he pulls a lot of shit from Ja Rule. So as y'all know, in the early 2000s, obviously when Ja Rule first came in, similar to Drake, rapping, right? Rapping. The three at the time was Jay-Z, DMX, and Ja Rule. That was supposed to be like the big three at one point in time. Rapping. We get into the early 2000s, he starts to do more singy rap things. So his whole little his run with Ashanti, Always on Time, Mesmerize, all his hits with J-Lo, all of that. So people started to not take Ja Rule as seriously, and as time has gone on, and I'm gonna do a very nice video too on how 50 Cent has literally flipped the public's mind and like kind of rewrote history to make it seem like he was much bigger than Ja Rule when he absolutely wasn't and didn't have a run that was even close to Ja Rule. But we'll have a separate video on that later. But Ja Rule, I think, had a similar issue to Drake, except the difference is that Ja Rule's run might have been from like 2000 to maybe like 2004, and Drake's run has been for damn near 15 years. It has been 15 years. Not only has it been damn near 15 years, but it has hit so many fucking pockets. He has hit so many pockets. So I think that's where a lot of the criticism for Drake comes in. I also think that Drake, because he is the biggest thing literally on the planet, he's easy to come after because a lot of times people try to tote him up as like the end all be all of hip hop, which he is not. But because of that, he gets shots all the time. And I think people feel like from the beginning, from before Drake was even Drake, people have called Drake soft, and they do to this day. So because of that, people feel like he's an easy target to come at. So that's why they do. And I'm not talking about most stuff. I'm just saying in general, that's why people come for him, because he's like low-key an easy target for most people to kind of come for. And because there's such a good group of people that don't like Drake, it's easy. Like, he's such an easy target for real, for real. That's why y'all do it. Let's back up for a second. One of the things I want to talk about is, now there is a difference between hip hop and rap, right? So hip hop is a combination of a lot of things. It's a combination of rapping, fashion, dancing, lifestyle, the way you talk, the way you bop. It's a culture. It's literally an entire culture, right? Now, within that, as time has gone on, so let's be very clear. Hip hop just turned 50 years old. Hip hop just turned 50 years old last year. I think it's probably one of the more like newer like art forms as far as music. It's probably like the baby out of like all like art forms right now as far as music is concerned. It's literally in its infancy stage. Literally still in its infancy age, okay? So, as time has gone on, it has changed. Just like everything else in life changes and it evolves and it grows. So, you got the 70s, right? When hip hop was first started. Mostly just a DJ and two turntables. As a little bit of time goes on, then you give somebody a mic. Now this person is hyping up themselves and they hyping up the DJ. Then as time goes on, we hit the 80s. Now we're getting a little bit more of people talking about their experience, right? Then we hit the 90s, okay? And we have things like gangster rap. We get into boom bap. We get into the late 90s, early 2000s. We get into the bling era, the Diddy era, the popping bottles, the freaking the Alizé, all of that. We get into that era. Then we move on and we get into the crunk era of hip hop, okay? We get into the crunk / crank that era, okay? Then we move on and we get into the mumble area era, okay? Then we go back into trap a little bit and now we are kind of in a weird space right now. But all of that to break down, hip hop and rap in particular has gone through so many stages. Even if we talk about the way that people dress, you going from how people dressed in the 70s to how people in the 80s with their Pumas and their daggone Kango hats to people in the daggone 90s with the baggy clothes and even if we go back to the 80s, the big chains like Slick Rick. We go to the 90s. Now we have baggy pants. We got we got all of that. Then we go into the early 2000s and we got the white tee era, the big white tee eras, okay? Then we go a little bit further and we get into the skinny jeans era, okay? Like, everything changes. Things change as time goes on, okay? So where we are today, I think is probably the most diverse that rap has ever been. Ever. Now, people might say it's the most trash it's ever been, but that's according to what you like. And I think a lot of this gets down to personal taste. Now, if Drake is just not your personal taste, like I watch, what's his name? FD Signifier. I think that's his name, right? Love him. I think his content is great. He cannot stand Drake. And mind you, I'm like the biggest Drake fan in the world. And I find his content about Drake to be hilarious. It cracks me up every time he like goes in on him. I find it funny, but I understand because it's not his taste and that's okay. Everybody is not gonna be for everybody. But to discredit him and say he's not a hip hop artist is where I have an issue. Because he is. Hip hop is not one thing. One of the main problems I have with a lot of people anywhere between like their 40s, once we hit like 40 to like the mid 50s type of situation now, I have a lot of issue with people in that age bracket when they talk about hip hop because of the fact that y'all are stuck in what y'all call the golden era. So the golden era for people, if you don't really know, it would be the 90s. So people called it the golden era because they feel like that's when hip hop was the best. That's when it was the most I don't know. I guess people I guess that's what people feel like it was the most hippity hoppity was in the 90s. So because of people who grew up during that era, not all of them, because there are a lot of people that's very open, but a lot of people that grew up during that era or who rapped during that era, during the boom bap era, to be quite honest, a lot of them have a hard time letting that shit go and understanding that that's just not the only style of rap or hip hop anymore. It is not. We have grown, we have evolved. If you look today, there's all different types of, like I said, outside of me going through the whole timeline of what rap has kind of been from like a mainstream perspective, if we talk about right now, we have, come on, because I wrote some down. We got, like I said, crunk. We have mumble rap. We have what I call sad rap, which is like Rod Wave, Triple X, all of those people. Then we have conscious rap. Then we have trap. Then we have so many different pockets now. It's not just one thing. And I think, like I said, the issue here is that everybody is holding on to what they deem to be hip hop, what they deem to be real rap. Rapping is rapping. Now, what you like is different. The type of hip hop that you grew up on may be different. And what you grew up on, obviously you're going to hold dear to your heart. But just because it's what you know to be rap or what you know to be hip hop, you cannot tell people that are younger than you, even me, right? I don't listen to what's that boy? The Playboy Cardi boy, I don't listen to him. I don't listen to no A Boogie. I don't listen to no NBA Youngboy. But I wouldn't sit here and shit on it and say it's, well, some people might say Playboy Cardi's not hip hop. But I would never shit on it and say that it's not hip hop and it's not rap just because it's not the type of rap or hip hop that I listen to or that I grew up on in like the really, really late 90s, early to mid 2000s, all that. Just because that's not what I grew up on, that doesn't mean that that's not rap. That's rap to these children. That's their rap. That's their identity of hip hop. The way that those young kids do it, that's what it is for them. And I would never take that away from them just because it's not something that I may necessarily like at all. So that's that, right? Now, if we want to have a more in-depth conversation about Drake the artist, then that's a whole nother conversation. Now, did Drake want to be pop? Does he want to be a pop artist? Yes, I would say where he is now, yes. But that's because he has transcended being just hip hop. He has transcended that. He's more than that. He's more than that. And you guys have to understand that just because somebody is more than something, that doesn't mean that they're not that at the same time. Okay? Let's talk about his first. Let's really go through all of the albums. Let me pull up, because I know all of Drake's albums by heart, but I want to make sure that I got everything right. Let's go in order. We got So Far Gone. You telling me that's not a rap album? Yes, there is some singing on that album, absolutely. But is that not a rap album? We have Thank Me Later. That's a rap album. Take Care. That's a rap album. Nothing Was the Same. That's a rap album. If you're reading this, it's too late. It's an absolute rap album. Now, when we start to get into views and on, then we can start to have a conversation about him moving more so out of the box of just rap and more so moving on into Afro beats. Like I said, pop a little bit more, because that's like the album that Hotline Bling was on. Then we can have a conversation, but we're not going to sit up here and act like his first 5 to 6 albums were not hip hop albums. Hell, let's go to Her Loss. Her Loss is a pop album. Y'all listen to Her Loss and think that's a pop album with him and 21? That is a hip hop rap album. Yes, we have Spin About You, which is more so like a R&B-ish type of vibe, but you're trying to tell me that the majority of that album is not hip hop, it's not rap? It absolutely is. I think a lot of times when people say what they say about him, a lot of it, to be quite honest, really comes from the fact that a lot of people don't really listen to his music. And when I mean a lot of people, I just mean certain people don't really sit down and take the time to really listen to his discography other than like what they hear on the radio and stuff like that. That's kind of what most people go off of if they never took the time to really sit down and listen to his music. So I'm lost because all of those albums that I just named, like I said, those are hip hop rap albums, okay? But like I said, does he want to be pop now? Yes, absolutely. And is he a pop artist as well as a hip hop artist? Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. Something else that was said is that Drake doesn't disrupt the game and he doesn't do anything that's game changing and anything like that. Okay, no shade. This is no shade at all because I love him, but I want y'all to explain to me, what has J. Cole done that was disruptive? I'll wait. I'll wait. Great rapper, great substance, you know, in his music and stuff like that. Very self-reflective, very much so relatable music, especially in the beginning, relating to the college kids. But what has J. Cole done that was disruptive or game-changing? I'll wait. I will fucking wait. Exactly. But would we not still consider him a hip hop artist? Yes, he is. But you want to know why y'all say that? Because Cole hasn't crossed over pop wise the same way that Drake did. He just didn't. So that's that. If we want to talk about the change that Drake has, let's also not make it seem like he hasn't made any change at all to the game at all. When Drake came in, outside of, because we all know that Drake was very heavily influenced by Kanye, right? But the way that Drake came in the game and blended R&B and hip hop, he did it in a way that nobody at that time had ever done it before. Nobody was used to a rapper rapping the way that he was and then just completely going to the left and giving you a full, I'm talking full singing R&B, not Ja Rule half somewhat singing and rapping a little bit. I'm talking about a full, baby, I can really get to know you, take my time and show you, don't tell anybody what we do when I get low. Nobody was used to that. Nobody was used to that, okay? And the way that Kanye and Drake, and I'm going to reference Kanye a lot because, again, Kanye was definitely a precedent to everything that Drake did. But those two people in particular ushered in a new wave of rap in the sense of you didn't have to be the hardest person in the world. And you didn't have to rap boom bap style. You didn't have to rap like that to actually make it somewhere, to actually gain some traction. You didn't have to rap like that. You could hit a whole lot of different pockets and still do what it is that you needed to do. Now, has Drake ever been now a lot of people will judge Drake because they feel like he's not really saying much in his music. Now, I will say the last couple of years of Drake, yes, it's been a little bit more shallow and him not really having much to say, to be quite honest. It's been a whole lot of that. It's definitely been a whole lot of, he hasn't really had a whole lot to say. But Drake from the beginning he never came into the game trying to be something he wasn't, in the sense of he didn't come in the game like, oh, I'm about trying to talk about the equal rights of black people and black suffering and the hood and all of that other shit. He never came in the game like that. So I find it interesting that now 15 years later, now all of a sudden y'all want him to do that. And I really, truly in my heart, similar to what y'all do to fucking Beyonce, if he was to now come into his career 15 years later down the line and start to do that conscious shit that y'all talk about, y'all would say that he's pandering. If Drake was to drop an album tomorrow that was super, super heavy conscious, talking about the black struggle, politics, any of that, y'all would call it pandering because that's exactly what y'all did to Beyonce. Beyonce, her whole career, never got into none of that shit. Was very much so, this is my lane. I'm in the R&B / pop lane. This is my lane. This is what I do. I keep it very to the point. And then when she started to lean more into talking about being a black woman and the plight of black women in America and just black people in general, y'all started to say that she was pandering and she was fake and she was full of shit. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, okay? Secondly, I don't want to hear that from him. I do not. I think the great thing about rap right now is that you can go to everybody for different things. You don't have to. I will say that from a mainstream point of view, yes, there is not so much balance as far as mainstream is concerned. But if you take it outside of mainstream, which to be quite honest, I'm not even sure what mainstream is anymore because radio no longer exists, video music channels no longer exist like that. So I'm not even sure what's considered mainstream anymore. But if we take it outside of that, again, I'm not going to Drake for that. As y'all see on this channel, right? I do reactions to Coast Contra. I love Coast Contra. And I go to them for a specific type of thing. The same way that I go to Future for a specific type of thing. I go to 21 Savage for something particular. I go to Drake for something particular. I think most people at this point in his career, we don't want to hear that shit from Drake. We don't. We do not want to hear you talking about what it's like to be a black man in Canada and the biracial. We don't care to hear that shit. Hell, Logic does that and y'all drag him all the time. We don't want to hear it because that's not how he came in the game. So guess what? I don't want to hear it now. I don't want to hear it now. I just don't. And to be very quite honest, as somebody who grew up in Brooklyn, okay, let me just tell y'all something very much so. Prior to Power 105 being a channel, all we really had at that time was what, Z100, and Hot 97 was really where you gonna go to listen to rap. As a child, Hot 97 played the same damn music from the 90s again and again and again and again and a fucking again. That shit sounded so repetitive. I'm talking about as a kid growing up. That's why I thank to the heavens when Power 105 was a station, because we could start to hear a little bit more newer things that weren't necessarily 90s boom bap rap or rap from the late 80s, because we needed something different. So we're not going to sit up here and try to make it seem as if there wasn't a point in time where mainstream wise rap sounded the same. It's always been a point in time where in mainstream rap kind of all sounded the same, because there's a dominant fucking sound that's going on. As I just told you, I went through all of the eras of the different sounds of rap. That shit was so annoying as a kid, being young as hell and just constantly hearing the same boom bap bap shit. I was tired of hearing that, and a lot of other people was tired of hearing that shit too. It's time to evolve and move the hell on. Okay? Now, like I said, as far as the substance within his music, has Drake really said a whole lot recently in his last couple albums? No. And I'm the biggest Drake fan in the world, and I can tell you, no. But to act like he never does it at all is bullshit. It's bullshit. There's a lot of things that we can pull from. 7 a.m. and Bridal Path. Hell, Middle of the Ocean. There's a lot of things that are more current now. It might not be whole bodies of work, but there's definitely songs and moments where he's definitely talking about something. Now, maybe it's not what you want to hear about, but to say it has zero substance is a lie. Now, again, has it been lacking in the last couple of years? Yes, but to say there's none at all is pure bullshit. It's nonsense, and I don't want to hear it. And one of the things about Drake talking about how he came into the game is he's always been very personal. If we take it all the way back to So Far Gone, it's always been very personal. And the things that he's talking about personally is what the average person can relate to. That's why he appeals the way that he does, is because of the fact that he's talking about relationships. A lot of times a big part of a good crust of Drake's discography is him talking about relationships, being in a relationship, the ups and downs that come with that. When you good with a girl, when you not good with a girl, when you fucking these, when you not fucking these hoes, time with your bros, all of that different type of stuff. That's why we related to his music. Okay, that's why. Same way why a lot of college kids connected to Cole's music, because Cole was speaking from a perspective that they could understand. Again, if that's not for you, that's fine. But to say he doesn't talk about anything ever, or he's never talked about anything, just shows you've never listened to his music. Ever. There's no way you've ever listened to his music. Too much? Seriously? Like, come on. Look, that's just the first one to pop. But it just shows that you don't listen to his music. And that's fine. If we talk about Kendrick, because Kendrick is always brought up. Yes. Kendrick is great. Kendrick is amazing. Kendrick is hip hop personified as well. Very much so. A lot of the people that are a little bit older love Kendrick because Kendrick rapidy raps. You know, like he's rapidy guy, the way that they like their people to rapidy rap, right? But something that I always say, and it's so true, I think where Kendrick has messed up, especially on his last project, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, where he shined before really well, is that you can rapidy rap, right, and say a whole lot of stuff, but if it doesn't have any replay value, do we care? Do we care? No disrespect to the artist formerly known as Mos Def, but you don't have a whole lot of replay value in your music. I'm not saying that none of his music does. I'm saying the reason I feel like he's not as big as he probably could be is because it doesn't have a lot of replay value. So let's go back to Kendrick. Kendrick's last album, as good as it was lyrically, did not have a lot of replay value. And that's why Kendrick was always champion. Let's be clear. It's not just because he could rap really well. It's because he rapped very well and he made music and songs that had great replay value. And it's hard to do both of those things. So when it comes to Drake, I think something that people don't give him his flowers for is the fact that he can rapidy rap, but it also has replay value. Nobody cares. You can be the best rapper in the world, but nobody's gonna want to hear it or care if I can't replay it and listen to it in the song. So again, the old saying of you can rap as well as you can, but if you can't make a good song, nobody's listening. Nobody cares. And I'll use Drake as an example. Drake dropped Scary Hours 3, right? After everybody shitted on him for All of the Dogs, right? He dropped Scary Hours 3. For about 4 songs, this nigga rapidy rapped. He rapidy rapped. He told stories in his fucking songs. I don't see that nowhere. I don't see people giving him his props for that. I don't see nobody listening to that. I don't. Where's his flowers for that? I just finished watching Hot 97 talk about this, and even Ebro said he rapped his ass off on Scary Hours 3. Where's his flowers when he needs to? Because y'all be trying to comfort him saying that he can't rap when we all know that he actually can. Nicki also had a lot of this criticism too during her quote unquote, y'all remember when EDM was like a really big thing, right? And she was in that era, her Starships era and stuff. And people was really trying to comfort Nicki, trying to say, oh, she's not a rapper, she's gonna pop. Nicki, similar to Drake, had a plan. Yes, I'm a rapper, but I would like to cross over. So I'm going to dibble dabble here and pop in this and that and the third so I can widen my audience. But is Nicki still a rapper? Is she still the queen of rap? Yes, she is. Is she the greatest female rap artist of all time? In my opinion, yes, she is. She is, and I'm never gonna take that away from her just because every now and again she wanna dip in and out of the pop lane. I'm not, because at the core, she's a rapper. At the core, Drake is a rapper. He is a hip hop artist at the core. Okay? You're talking about somebody who, let's talk about how much he champions battle rap. Battle rap is a very important part of hip hop that not everybody is into. Even your deepest hip hop head don't even pay attention to that shit. This man for his birthday had Loaded Lux versus Geechee Gotti. That's literally what he had for his birthday. Plenty of fucking of battles of you seeing Drake in the background. This man is a whole, as shout out to Rory from Rory and Marshall. He just said Drake is a rap nerd. That's a fact. And if you knew anything about him or his journey or what he's into, you would know that. That man is a rap nerd. Now, it might not always necessarily come out in his own music all the time, but that man is a rap hip hop nerd. Hands down, no questions about it. Okay? You're also talking about somebody who, to me, did as much as y'all tout Kendrick as the GOAT, and I love Kendrick too. To me, Kendrick is up there. He's like one of the best of all time. When Drake got into two, not one, but two very publicized rap beefs. And he didn't pop his way out of it. When him and Meek, how did he respond? Some hip hop shit. Not only did he drop 2 disses on that nigga, he went on OVO Fest and he blasted that nigga on fucking on the screen the same way Jay did during Hot 97. If that's not hip hop, then what is? Now, he might have lost against Pusha T to most people. He didn't to me personally. That's a whole other conversation for a whole other day. But point of the matter is, let's just say he lost, right? The fact that he even went back and forth with him. Hip hop. And like I said, as much as I love Kendrick is not battle tested. That to me is where Drake always have an edge above Cole and Kendrick in certain areas. Y'all two, out of all 3 of y'all, he's the most battle tested. As much as y'all try to call him soft, Kendrick dropped the Control verse. That was it. All of these little subtle shots to Drake here and there, you never came straight at him with a full track. Never did that to him. Not just to him, but nobody. Same thing with Cole. You might have did shots here and there, but you never got into a full back and forth rap battle the way Drake has. And Drake has done it twice. He might have lost one, but the fact that he did it and y'all two didn't. Y'all great never got into a back and forth ever with anybody. Ever. Now, some people could say, well, oh, it's because people were scared. But he could jump out the window. He jumped out the window with the Control verse. My thing is, if you really got a problem with Drake and you really that nigga, do a whole track. Get that nigga the fuck out of here. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. So again, but he don't get his checks in hip hop for that. When he's fucking battle tested. Literally rap battle tested. Out of the top 3, he the only one who did it twice. 2 times he did it. I'm tired of the disrespect. It's getting on my nerves. It's getting on my daggone nerves, okay? And my biggest thing before I end all of this is how I feel. Like I said, if he's not your cup of tea, that's cool. I don't have a problem with that because everybody's not my cup of tea. I like Kendrick a lot, but the last couple of albums that Kendrick dropped was not my cup of tea. It just wasn't. I like Cole a lot, but outside of like Off Season, his last couple of albums, I didn't really care for KOD or like that. I didn't really care for a lot of his albums. I know a lot of people don't like Born Center, but I like Born Center a lot. Forest Hills Drives is obviously a classic, and I liked Off Season. But outside of that, I'm not really into Cole's music or like that. I'm not jumping up every time he's dropping. And that's okay because that's a preference for me. I can honestly say, For All of the Dogs, For All of the Dogs is the first Drake album I have not listened to all the way through. It's the first Drake album I haven't listened to all the way through. Just because I couldn't really get into it. So again, like I said, if we want to talk about his progression and where he is now, we can have a conversation about that. But even with all of that being said, he's still a hip hop artist because the type of music and the substance of his music is one conversation, but him being a hip hop artist is a totally different conversation. Those are 2 separate conversations, and I think we're trying to blend them all into one. It's not the same thing. Those are 2 separate conversations to have. Is he a hip hop artist? Yes. Does his music of today have a lot of substance? Not so much. But let's never conflate the two. Let's never conflate the two. And like I said, this is really what I want to say before I go, and I'm done. I promise. Drake is an easy target, as I said. But I need y'all, if y'all are going off of the fact that, well, he's not hip hop because he doesn't have substance in his music, then we have to keep that same energy for everybody else. Would y'all consider Future a hip hop artist? Would you consider Future a rapper? What does Future talk about outside of and doing things? What does he talk about outside of that? That's disruptive. That's game changing. Now, did he do a lot of game changing as far as the sound? Kind of, sort of, because he's really just a child of Gucci, to be quite honest, and a couple of other people. But wouldn't y'all still consider him a hip hop artist? Okay, all right, got it. LL Cool J. Would y'all consider him a hip hop artist? He's the first artist that was on Def Jam, the first real hip hop artist for real, as far as being on a major label. What did LL Cool J really talk about outside of women, maybe some of his own personal stuff? When has he been out here being like, fight the power? But is he a hip hop artist? Yes or no? Okay. We'll use Pusha T. Is Pusha T considered a hip hop artist? Okay. But from my understanding, all Pusha T ever talks about is coke that he pushed back in 1991. He don't really talk about nothing else other than coke that he used to push. Not no more, but that he used to push. Is he out here talking about how we need to fight for our rights to party? Is that what he's doing? No, but you would still consider him a hip hop artist, would you not? Okay, so again, and I'm only talking about the people that have that as a criticism, as saying he's not a hip hop artist because he doesn't really talk about anything. Him and a whole lot of other people don't talk about shit, but y'all don't try to say that they're not hip hop artists either. It's because of a sound. Point blank, period. Y'all don't like the fact that he hops outside of the hip hop sound. That bothers y'all. Because to y'all, if you're going to be a hip hop artist, you need to just be this. And it's this one way. There was a big conversation years ago with Yachty and Joe Budden about that. It's not just one thing. It's all of these different things. So all of that to say, is Drake a hip hop artist? Yes. Is Drake a pop artist? Yes. Is Drake an R&B artist? Yes. Yes to all of those things. And yes, he also makes music that you can push around to and target. He does that too. But he also rapidy raps as well, if that's what you're looking for. Like somebody said, if he wanted to give you an album of just straight rapping, he could. He just chooses not to. And that's okay. He shouldn't be slighted and he shouldn't be taking away points because that's not something that he wants to do. That's it, y'all. Y'all get in the comments. Be respectful because I will block y'all. But get in the comments. I'm out. Bye.